Have you ever wished you could just step into a time machine and watch a legendary battle unfold? I mean, not just read about it in a book, but actually see the tactical genius happening in real time. Well, today, that's pretty much what we're going to do. We are simulating the actual battlefields where history was made, to see how these ancient commanders came up with strategies that, believe it or not, are still being used today.
And you know, this fascination isn't just us. It's shared by some of the most accomplished modern leaders out there. That's a quote from General Schwarzkopf, the guy who led Operation Desert Storm. He basically said, "We admire these ancient tacticians so much because all we really know about them are their incredible, almost unbelievable accomplishments." There's this direct line from their dusty battlefields right to the high-tech strategy rooms of today.
Okay, but admiring them is one thing. Really understanding them, that's a whole different ballgame. How do we actually get inside their heads? How do we get past the static maps and the old historical accounts to see the real chaos, the risk, and the sheer brilliance of the calls they made as they were making them?
And that's where things get really, really cool. We're not just going to tell you about these battles. We're going to use modern tech to simulate them, to bring them to life, and to see for ourselves how the principles they came up with thousands of years ago still echo on the battlefields of the 21st century.
The secret sauce here is a technology called agent-based modeling, or ABM. And what's so wild about it is how it works. Instead of a big top-down view, it simulates everything from the bottom up. So every single soldier on the field becomes an agent with its own set of rules and behaviors. And the crazy part? The outcome of the entire battle just emerges from thousands of these tiny individual interactions.
And this right here gives you a perfect idea of what that looks like. You can see how these incredibly complex, sometimes totally counterintuitive things just happen on the battlefield. It's how a disciplined line of soldiers holds firm, or how a panicked crowd suddenly stampedes. It lets us test all the what-ifs of history. So, let's put it to the test, shall we?
All right, our first simulation is taking us way back to 490 BC to the plains of Marathon. Now, this isn't just some famous battle. It is the original, the textbook case for how a scrappy underdog can completely flip the script and rewrite the rules of war. So get this. On one side, you've got the Athenians. They're a citizen army, right? Not pros. They're outnumbered like crazy, but they are fighting to defend their actual homes. And on the other side, the Persian Empire, the undisputed global superpower of its day. A massive professional army with cavalry, archers, the whole 9 yards. On paper, this was a total mismatch. It should have been a slaughter.
So, what was the brilliant, complex strategy from the Athenian commander, Miltiades? He decided to do the one thing, the single thing that nobody expected. The one move that all conventional military wisdom at the time would have screamed was absolute suicide. He told his men to charge at a dead run.
You can just imagine the Persians watching this. What is happening? The ancient writers tell us they literally thought it was madness. I mean, a whole army of heavy infantry charging at a full sprint, with no cavalry to protect their flanks, no archers to soften up the enemy first. It was completely unheard of. It broke every single rule. But it also got them across the killing field before the Persian archers could rain down hell, and the shock of their impact just shattered the enemy lines. So why are we still talking about a 2,500-year-old battle? Because this core idea, asymmetric warfare, using unconventional tactics to cancel out a bigger enemy's advantages, it's absolutely timeless. We've seen echoes of Marathon in recent history, like the Ukrainian resistance, where you had a smaller, incredibly motivated force using innovation and surprise to stand up to a seemingly unbeatable superpower.
All right, let's fast forward a bit for our next simulation. We're jumping over 250 years to 216 BC, and to what a lot of people think is the single most perfect tactical victory in all of military history, Hannibal's masterpiece at the Battle of Cannae.
Okay, so the absolute genius here is how Hannibal turned his own weakness into his greatest weapon. Look at this breakdown. First, he puts his weakest soldiers right in the center and pushes them forward in this bulging crescent shape. The Romans, of course, do exactly what he expects. They charge right at that weak spot and start pushing it back. Easy, right? But as that center line bends backwards, Hannibal's elite troops on the sides hold their ground, like a giant hinge. The Romans just pour deeper and deeper into this U-shaped pocket until, bam, Hannibal's cavalry smashes in from behind and the trap slams shut.
And our simulations shows you exactly how this beautiful, terrifying trap was sprung. Just watch as the Red Force, that's Hannibal's army, intentionally gives ground. They are literally luring the larger blue Roman force deeper and deeper into what is a perfectly designed kill zone. It is a horrifyingly elegant piece of battlefield geometry.
But you know, what was a masterpiece of geometry from Hannibal's point of view was a complete and utter living nightmare for the individual Roman soldier. This quote just captures the sheer terror of being inside that trap. They were packed in so tight they could barely move, couldn't even lift their own shields. It was a fatal crowd crush. They were just helpless, being pushed forward into enemy spears by the weight of their own friends behind them.
See, what Hannibal really perfected at Cannae was what we'd now call cognitive warfare. He wasn't just fighting an army, he was fighting the minds of the Roman commanders. And that principle is just as crucial today. I mean, look at D-Day. The Allies couldn't hide a massive invasion force, so they did the next best thing. They created a totally fake ghost army, complete with inflatable tanks, to trick the Germans into thinking the real attack was coming somewhere else entirely. It's the same idea, manipulating what your enemy sees and thinks, just like Hannibal did 2,000 years earlier.
So, we've seen how surprise and deception were basically perfected in the ancient world. And this all leads to a really critical question. What do these ancient lessons really mean for the battlefields of today and tomorrow?
And it's a fair question, right? I mean, when you have satellites that can see everything, drones that are always watching, and AI that can process data in a split second, can you even be surprised anymore? Do these ancient arts of war even have a place?
The answer? Oh, absolutely yes. In fact, modern military doctrine has a name for it: maneuver warfare. And it's all about using speed and movement to hit your enemy with so many new problems, so many rapidly changing situations, that their ability to think and react completely breaks down. And that is the very heart of what Miltiades did at Marathon and what Hannibal perfected at Cannae.
The game has changed, but the goal is the same. Deception is just evolving. On a modern battlefield that is flooded with sensors, you really can't be invisible anymore. It's just not possible. So the goal shifts. It's not about hiding your army. It's about making your visible actions tell a completely false story. It's about feeding an enemy's sensors, and yeah, their AI algorithms, a stream of data that leads them to exactly the wrong conclusion. That's cognitive warfare in the 21st century.
So this is what we're left with. The fundamental principles of war: surprise, deception, maneuver, they really are timeless. They're as true today as they were for Hannibal. But as we start building AI that can learn from every battle ever fought and run millions of simulations in a single second, a really profound new question comes up. Who or what will be the next Hannibal? Will it be a brilliant human commander, or will it be a machine?